السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. أما بعد، رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. رب زدني علما. Inshallah, tonight we are going to have a Tafseer course, the weekly Tafseer course, in which bi'adnillahi ta'ala we are going to have today the talk on about a very important topic. But let us first mention that this Tafseer course is lesson number 20. It is lesson number 20, and bi'adnillahi ta'ala we are in part 7, part 7F. As we find that we have already talked about part 7, A, B, C, D, E, and now today is part 7F, part 7F. In the topic, as you know, the series which is called Who Wrote the Qur'an, in which we are coming up with the claims that have been done by the disbelievers of Islam, and we are refuting that claims that have been done. Now we had already talked about the first claim, in which that we mentioned that did Muhammad ﷺ wrote the Quran, and we find that this claim has already been refuted. Now we are now going to the second claim, which is someone other than Muhammad ﷺ he wrote the Quran. Someone other than Muhammad ﷺ wrote the Quran, and this is our topic today. Now some people, you find that they have claimed that Muhammad ﷺ he did not write the Quran, but they either copied it from other sources or learned it from someone else. So let us examine these claims separately. First of all, we are going to see copied from other sources. That is, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The question is that someone other than Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam wrote the Quran as he copied from other sources. As he copied from other sources. So that means that there was someone who was involved with Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in writing the Quran. So as we find that amongst so let me I want to explain a little bit when I'm talking about someone other than Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam wrote the Quran. Now people, they have claimed two things here. That this person who you find that wrote the Quran, he copied it from other sources. Okay, that person who wrote the Quran, he was not Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but he was another person. He was not Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was another person who copied this. Who copied from other sources and wrote now the Quran. Okay, and number 2 point is that this person, he learned it from someone else. He learned it from someone else. He went and like a school or like a person. He went to another person and he learned it from someone else, and then he wrote the Quran. So it is here in this second claim, they are saying that it is not Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam wrote the Quran, but there is another person who has written the glorious Quran. That is what their claim is. And to make it easy for the people, we have divided this topic into two. First of all, we are going to see that person now, he had copied from other sources, and we are going to put here a question mark. Did that person who was not Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but he wrote another person, let me mention again, someone other than Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam wrote the Quran by copying it from other sources. Someone other than Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam wrote the Quran by copying it from other sources. That is the first part, inshallah, we are going to talk about in this lesson. So tonight's lesson, it is, as mentioned, we are going to talk about someone else. He wrote the Quran by copying it from other sources. Now the second part, that means inshallah part 7G, we are going to talk about that someone else, he wrote the Qur'an, but he learned the Qur'an from another human. He got the Qur'an from another person. Okay, he didn't have a source like another book, but he learned it from another person, another human being. Okay, but he is not Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam who wrote the Qur'an. That is according to them. There is someone else who is involved in writing the Qur'an other than Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And we have to explain this to people. And so tonight part, it is called, let me mention the topic name again, someone other than Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he wrote the Qur'an by copying it from other sources. Someone other than Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam wrote the Qur'an by copying it from other sources. So amongst those who you find that they claim that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he did not write the Qur'an but got it from other sources, there are those who claim that he simply copied either the Apocrypha. There are some of the scriptures that are not included in the canon from the Council of Nicaea in 325 Christian era that became known as the Bible, and later now the Catholic version of the Bible, okay, under the Bible itself. That means that person, he copied either from the Apocrypha or the Bible itself. That is what their claim is. So their source, they're saying that this person who wrote the Quran, he has got it from Bible or from Apocrypha. Okay? Now I want to mention here a very much important thing. That when you're talking about this thing here, the first problem with this argument, it is that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as we mentioned earlier, he was illiterate. So how could he read? And he could not copy what he could not read. He could not copy what he could not read. That is first point. So we have to please keep in mind what we have stated in our earlier audios. We have stated that about Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that he is known as being an impeccable character, having that impeccable character. And the fact that it was known that he was illiterate, and there is also no record of the pagan Arabs in Mecca accusing Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam of not being illiterate. Now, why are we saying this thing? Because when you're talking about that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he got it from maybe another book. You know, why are we saying this? Because people are claiming it, that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he copied it from another source. He got it maybe from a Bible, or what we call it, Apocrypha. Now, when you say that, first of all, I want to mention that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is illiterate. He could not read and he could not write. As we know, a person who is illiterate, that is now the only thing it becomes difficult for him. That is the only thing becomes difficult for him. He cannot read it, what he is given. Maybe in a book is given here, I cannot read it. So the Prophet ﷺ, he could not read. Another thing, he could not even write. So first of all, if you are saying that he's copied it from another book, from another source, then how could he read that book? And then if you are saying that he copied it, how could he write from that other book into that book which is called Quran? So he cannot copy it. And then, had he not been illiterate, as the Quran itself stated, it will this have been easy to prove during Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam's lifetime by his enemies who were eager to discredit him. And this fact alone shows that it was common knowledge during his lifetime that he was indeed illiterate. And no one questioned this. No one questioned this. There was at that time known to Arabs that Many of them, they were not seekers of knowledge. They didn't want to go and to learn, And at that time, there were many, even enemies of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but they did not discredit him by the usage of the fact that he is the one who wrote the Qur'an. Because they knew that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was illiterate, so they did not use this fact. Because they knew that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was a person who could not read or write. So how could he produce the Quran? So they say that there is someone maybe now who has come up with these ideas to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and this we are going to see in a next topic. Okay. So that is the first point. I want to put it clear. We have stated that why Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam has not copied this from other sources, because he was illiterate. Number two. Secondly, even if one maybe he were to assume for the argument's sake that maybe he could read, then the first Arabic translation of what is known as the Old Testament, it was not even produced until some 200 years after Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam death. And the first Arabic translation of the New Testament, it did not appear until 1000 years after his death. So first of all, we find that the Bible at that time, even it was not in the Arabic language. It was not in the Arabic language, as you know, it was in Aramaic. And others, they say it was in Hebrew language. So when you see that fact, even if someone may think that no, maybe it is not Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam who wrote the Quran, there is some other person. So that other person, he should be an Arab to write that Quran. But we find that the other person who you think, that is you people who think that it is not from Allah Azza wa Jalla, this Quran, then your claim is baseless, because of the fact that this Quran, it was at the time of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Through the memorization of the companions, they had it in their heads already. So the people now, they come and claim, no, there is maybe another person who wrote the Quran. It was not Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So we put this fact that you are wrong, my friend. Why? Because how could another person write the Quran, and this other person, even he has not met Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? So first we put that if we are saying that there was another person who was involved in writing the Quran, so let me mention to you that that other person, maybe let us call him, maybe you call him X. This person X, who we are saying that he has maybe involved with Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam with writing the Quran. Okay, let us put your question. Okay, now, how did you write the Quran? Okay, they say that he copied from other sources. He copied from the Bible. Okay, let us take the Bible. The Bible at the time of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it was not even Arabic translated. So you say, no, that person X, he knew Hebrew. So you say, my friend, this can't happen. At the olden times, it is very much difficult for a person to know two languages at the same time. It is very much difficult. Why? Because they are living in an area in which you find that they just stay there. It is not like currently the way we are living, you can learn English and other languages, Arabic, you can learn English, Arabic, Germany, French, all together, because of the fact that there is more diversity. But at that time, there was very much less diversity. Even communicating between people who had two different languages, very much difficult. It was very much difficult. And that's why you find that languages, they started to come up very much later. But at that time, there were few languages. There were very few languages, as you find that Hebrew, even currently, there is not available. There is people, one or two, they maybe know Hebrew or Aramaic, But very much difficult for a person to know two languages at the time of the Prophet ﷺ at the same time. That's why we find that allegation of yours that there was another person who was involved with the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ in writing the Quran, that is wrong, and we say that you have stated a wrong point. So that is we have mentioned. So we have mentioned that why Prophet Muhammad ﷺ he has not copied from other sources is because he was illiterate, and number two is because of the fact that the Bible, it was not in Arabic. And if you want more, I will explain it more. Sidney Griffith, after that extensive study, he concludes that all one can say about the possibility of a pre-Islamic Christian version of the Gospel in the Arabic is that no sure sign of its actual existence it has yet emerged. That is the evidence. You can go in the Gospel in Arabic and inquiry into its appearance in the first Abbasid century. You can go in volume 6, page number 166. You can see that book. Okay? And this book, there was a person who is called Sidney Griffith, is the one who stated this fact, that at the time of the pre-Islamic Arabia, there was no Arabic version of the Gospel. Okay? We go to Ernst Wuthwain. Ernst Wuthwain. He states in his book, which is called The Text of the Old Testament, and he said that with the victory of Islam, the use of Arabic spread widely, and for Jews and Christians in the conquered lands, it became the language of daily life. And this gave rise to the need of Arabic versions of the Bible, which need was met by a number of versions, mainly independent and concerned primarily for interpretation. So this is in the book of which is called The Text of the Old Testament, 1988, William B. Edelman's Publishing Company, Grand Rapids, Michigan. Page is 104. So he said that it is only after the victory of Islam we find that these Jews and the Christians, when they started to conquer their lands, that language of Arabic, it started to become, the language of the daily life. And that is what gave rise to the need of the Arabic versions of the Bible. So that time you can see that it was after the victory of Islam, which is, at the time of the time of the Abbasid Caliphate. That time of Abbasid Caliphate, and that was very much later, after even the death of some of the companions, and it was even after the death of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. So 200 years after the death of the Prophet ﷺ. So from this we find that it is clear that no Arabic translation of the Bible or the Apocrypha, it existed during the lifetime of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. And this also makes the fact that if there was someone else who knew maybe to read and write and was involved, or was maybe a friend of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, and maybe he wrote the Quran, as you say, then you say that that person he copied from the Bible. We say that also that thing is wrong because of the fact that the Bible translation of Arabic was not available. It was not available at that time. So that is very much important to put in mind. Thirdly, the third point. So we mentioned 2 points already. Number one, because Prophet Muhammad was illiterate, so he could not copy from other sources. Number two is because of the fact that the Bible translation was not available, and this in Arabic. And this also makes the fact that there was no someone else who was involved, someone other than Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he wrote the Quran. No, it can't happen because of the fact that the translation was not available in Arabic. The thirdly is the fact that the historical evidence, it suggests that there was no Christian or even the Jewish influence in the Hijaz Now what is Hijaz? Hijaz, it is the inner part of the Arabian Peninsula. And particularly even in Makkah, we find that there was no even Christian or Jewish influence, where Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was born and raised. So they didn't have, the people of Christians or the Jewish influence, as that was only, they had only Arabs there. And the Arabs, these people, they were worshipping idols. They were worshipping idols. And that is what we know, bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. Before the birth of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, the Hijaz, it was for the most part ignored by the major empires of that time. That is the Persian and the Roman. And they left isolated with the exception of the time of when the Ethiopian king Abraham, he briefly tried and he failed to conquer Makkah during that year Prophet Muhammad ﷺ he was born. So we find that in the New Catholic Encyclopedia it states that concerning the time of Muhammad ﷺ, and he said that the Hijaz, which is the Arabian Peninsula, it had not been touched by the Christian preaching, and hence the organization of the Christian church, it was neither to be expected nor found in that part. So you can go in that book which is called New Catholic Encyclopedia, Volume 1, page 721 to 722, you can see that statement there. This statement, it makes clear for the fact that in the part of Arabia, there was no any Jewish or Christian influence. And it was only at the time of Abraham who tried to conquer that Makkah, but he could not, because of the fact that it was Allah Azza wa Jal, he had protected the Kaaba with the pelted stones that came from the flying birds. As he tried to destroy Kaaba, he could not, because of the fact that Allah Azza wa Jal, he protected it, and as you can see in Surah Al-Fil. Okay? Now, there is a wealth of historical evidence that show similar evidence that there was no Christian influence even in the Hijaz, where Prophet Muhammad ﷺ he lived. So we must ask ourselves, who then would have taught him that Bible under the Apocrypha, which were not even in Arabic, for him to later take from these sources that he would have to memorize to later write that Quraan? So there's a question for you. As you find that the Quraan, it came from Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was teaching the Quraan to other people. So there is no any other source. It was Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. And Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he got that revelation from Allah Azza wa Jal through angel Jibreel alayhi salam. That is now the answer that we should be putting in mind. And if you are putting the mind that he copied from other sources, we say that there was no Christianity at that time. Yeah, there was no Christian influence at that time. There was no Jewish influence at that time. In the Makkan, in that Hijazi part, there was no any. Number two, we come to the fact that there was no translation of the Arabic Bible. That there was no translation of the Bible into Arabic language. Now there's no these two things. It makes clear that he didn't copy from other sources. Now, the Hijaz, we find that I want to explain more. It was so isolated that 4 men from amongst the Makkans who were searching for the true religion of Abraham, they had to leave Makkah in search of it. And Waraka ibn Nawfal, he was amongst them, and he returned as a Christian. We will discuss him more, inshallah, in the detail below. That is, inshallah, we're going to talk about him in our next lesson about Waraka. But I have not yet finished, because I've talked about 3 points already. And the first point I've mentioned is that Prophet Muhammad was illiterate. He was not able to read or write. Number 2, what did he say? That Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there was no any Arabic translation of the Bible, which was in Hebrew or Amharic. Okay. Number 3 point, we have mentioned that there was no any Christian influence, there was no any Jewish influence in the Hijaz or Arabian Peninsula. Fourthly, the Qur'an itself, it answers these claims that someone was teaching Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and at the same time it points to the fact that the Arabic used in the Qur'an is pure. So we go to Surah An-Nahl, chapter number 16, verse number 103. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ولقد نعلم أنهم يقولون إنما يعلمهم بشر لسان الذي يلهدون إليه أعجمي وهذا لسان عربي مبين. So inshallah, this it says that indeed we know, that is Allah Azza wa Jal, He knows that the disbelievers, they say it is only a human being who teaches him, that is Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the tongue of the man they refer to is foreign, while this the Quran, it is a clear Arabic tongue. Now this verse in Surah An-Nahl, chapter number 16, verse number 103, it is saying, and it is putting the claim that the disbelievers, now they say that this Quran, it is only a human being work, that is of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and this human being is the one who teaches him, that is Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Understanding. They are saying that there is another source for the Quran. They are saying that there is another source for the Quran. But Allah is saying that the tongue of the man that they are referring to, it is foreign. Because of the fact that they are saying that it is only a human being who teaches him, Muhammad, that is Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That human being, the one that teaches him, that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is saying that there is someone saying that there is a book that he is referring to. There's a book that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is referring to, and they're saying that that book is the Bible. And Allah is saying that, that there is a language of the man that they are referring to, it is foreign. At the Bible, you find it's foreign. While this Quran, you find it's a clear Arabic tongue, the clear Arabic language, the pure Arabic language. So this puts the fact that the Quran being a pure Arabic language, that is our fourth answer. The fact that when Quran is a pure Arabic language, how can it be corrupted with another person or another book or another source from Bible or anything? No, it cannot be corrupted, because this Quran is an pure Arabic language. That's a very important point for us to understand. So it points the fact that the Arabic that is used in the Quran, it is pure. Also, when we go to another verse, the Quran, it also says, referring to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we go to Surah Al-Ankabut, chapter number 29, verse number 48, and it says, وَمَا كُنْتَ تَتْلُو مِنْ قَبْلِهِ مِنْ كِتَابٍ وَلَا تَكُتُّهُ بِيَمِينِكَ إِذًا لَارْتَابَ الْمُبْتِلُونَ. Neither did you, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, read any book before it, that is the Quran, nor did you write any book with your hand, with the right hand. In that case, indeed, the followers of falsehood, they might be doubted. So in this argument also, it has answered over 1,400 ago by the Qur'an itself. And yet these critics now, they are still unable now to provide any new evidence for their erroneous claims. And if you see that verse of the Qur'an, it is saying clearly that Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he did not read any book before reading the Qur'an. He did not read any book before reading the Qur'an. That means he did not even read the Bible. He did not read any Apocrypha, any other book, no. And also he did not write any book with his hand. That means he did not write the Qur'an itself. He did not write the Qur'an itself. So we have answered two questions here, that he did not copy it from other sources, and number two, he did not write the Qur'an with himself. And also the Qur'an is saying that even if there's another person who maybe claim that it was not Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam who wrote the Qur'an, but there's another person who wrote the Qur'an, then also that person, he did not read any book before reading the Qur'an. As Qur'an is pure Arabic. It's pure Arabic. That's the first part. That's putting very much of the faction that the Qur'an is being pure Arabic. It cannot be written with another book which is not an Arabic book, which is maybe a Hebrew or another. And it's very much difficult to translate to become a very pure Arabic one. That's why even to translate the Qur'an into the pure English, it becomes difficult, because Qur'an, it requires time to explain it. It requires that, a very requirement of its explanation requires a lot of time. And bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, I find that the things I have to finish this lesson by saying that all of this claim, the claim mentioned here, we have refuted it. If you're saying that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he has copied it from other sources, we have refuted it. And if you think that there is someone else who has helped Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam to write the Quran, we have refuted also that one. But now inshallah, in our next session, we are going to see that did Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam learn the Quran from another human being? Did Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam learn the Quran from another human being? And the topic, we find that the topic of today, we have finished, and it was a very much interesting one. This topic of today, that there is someone else other than Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam who wrote the Quran by copying it from other sources. Okay, was the topic of today, and it's very interesting. We have tried to explain the best we can, and may Allah Jal accept it. And I finish by saying Subhanaka Allahumma bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Wassalamu alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
وترجو رحمة تسري فعاش القلب إخلاصا وصرت تحوم كالطير تحلق في ثقافات وتنهل من ربى الخير ترى ما زلت تذكرها وتذكر روعة الذكر فيهدي القلب ألحانا شذاها يفوح بالصدر ويصفو العلم راقراقا ويسقي دوحة العمر فيمحو الكون